I'm 25 years old and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing with my life. And I'm sure if you are also in your 20s, you are probably in the exact same boat as me. So today we're going to be talking about not knowing what you're doing with your life and the feelings of confusion and existential crises that we so often feel when we are a 20-something-year-old. And to be quite frank, I believe that this feeling probably doesn't entirely go away no matter your age. I think we're all still trying to figure it out, whether we're in our 40s, 50s, 30s, 60s, whatever. I think that we are always mildly confused. And I'm going to talk about why I think that that's okay and nothing to be worried about. I feel like I've always had this feeling of not being happy with who I am currently and always striving to be a different version of myself. And it's an endless cycle because no matter what goals you achieve in this mindset, you're always going to want more and you're never going to be fully satisfied with who you are. And while I think that it's a good thing to want to better yourself and improve yourself, I think that if you're constantly being mean to yourself about not being where you want to be in life, you're never going to be happy and you're never going to be satisfied. And I can tell you firsthand that it is a miserable cycle to be in. And the best way to come out of it is to just accept where you are now, whether or not it's who you want to be or where you want to be in life. Just accept the fact that you are here. And I like the phrase that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Even if it's not where you want to be, where you are right now is where you're supposed to be. Because in my personal belief, everything happens for a reason. And I think that we need to go through things and experience things, even the bad and the ugly, in order to get to the good and the wonderful. And life is not just one straight line. We all go through ups and downs no matter what phase of our life that we're in. So yeah, that's just something right off the bat that I feel like we need to accept before we can get into this topic. I think that there's a lot of pressure in our society to have a purpose, or the question of what is the meaning of life. And it's almost like we go through life trying to seek out what the purpose is. Like what is our life's purpose? And as nihilistic as it might sound, I don't really think that we have a purpose. And while that seems kind of scary and cynical, I like to look at it in a good way, in terms of there doesn't need to be this pressure of, oh my gosh, I need to figure out what the point of me being on this planet is, because there isn't a point. You were just accidentally put here. And I know it sounds negative, but I don't mean it in a negative way. I mean, we've talked about this before. The odds of you existing are very slim. It's beautiful that you're here. It's beautiful that you exist. It's beautiful that you have a life. And I feel like that's it. That's the purpose. That's the meaning. You just existing. There doesn't need to be anything deeper than that. And of course, a lot of us have these big goals and aspirations and big dreams, and I think that's great, and I do too. And there's a lot I want to do in my life because we only get one life as far as we know, and so we want to make the most of it. And so that's why there's so much pressure as to how do I make the most of my time on Earth? And we feel like we have to be doing the most at all times. I think there's pros and cons to both of these things, whether it's like you want to live an extraordinary life and achieve all of your goals and aspirations, or you just kind of want to go through life just surviving and living an average life. You don't feel the need to do these huge things. That's totally fine. The cons of dreaming big are there's a lot of pressure on it to achieve. And the pros of it is, yes, you're striving towards something, you're working towards something at all times, but at some point you kind of have to chill out and be like, okay, even if you haven't achieved all of the things that you want to, you should still be satisfied with who you are, because you just existing is a cool enough thing as it is. Honestly, these are things that I need to remind myself because, like I said, I'm very hard on myself and I constantly feel like I'm not doing enough. But not so much the feeling of like, I think that a lot of the times I wish that someone would just come up to me and tell me what I'm supposed to be doing with my life, because I can't quite figure it out and I can't decide and I'm constantly changing. But honestly, I think that's the point. I think the point is to just try a bunch of things. I don't think anyone has like a life's purpose. And a lot of the times it just kind of happens accidentally. I think it's really easy to go on social media and see all of these people, and it feels and seems so much like all of these people have it together. They just have their shit together. You see their aesthetic apartments, their clothing hauls, the food that they're eating, the workouts that they're doing, and you're like, damn, they have it together. They have it all together. And it's just not the case. I mean, I've had people in my personal life be like, wow, like you really seem like you have it together. And it's like, I do not at all. I have a mental breakdown at least once a week. I have an existential crisis at all times. I'm constantly comparing myself to other people and to myself also, thinking back in, you know, a couple of years earlier, and I'm like, oh, I thought I'd be doing more by now. And even though I am doing some stuff and I have achieved a lot of goals, there's just this constant feeling of, I don't know what I'm doing or why I'm doing it. Every day I'm posting TikTok videos, which is kind of my job, and filming content and recording my podcast episodes and writing in my journal and going to the gym. And it's kind of like, what is the reason behind all this? What is the point? What am I trying to get to here? And I do have goals that I want to achieve, but even then, life is so much more than just the goals that you want to achieve. It's also just about living. And I struggle with that sometimes, because as much as I want to just live my life and like embrace every single day, I also want to figure out a way to achieve things and have success and earn money, because money buys you freedom and it buys you time and it allows you to enjoy life more. And so there's this constant pull inside my head of like embracing life and just living it to the fullest, but also putting my head down, saving money, kind of chilling out so that I can just focus on my health. And then it's like, why am I focusing on my health when we're all gonna die anyways? I don't know. It's just this constant struggle that I have. I talked about this in the Finding Balance episode, because it's one of those things that I do struggle to find balance with between life and work. Like work-life balance, it's rough, especially for those who genuinely are either living paycheck to paycheck or like spend 99% of their time working because they have to. Because in this economy, you know, you kind of have to. You gotta grind it out, and it sucks. And that just adds to the fuel of like, what am I doing with my life? Every day I go to work and do the same thing and have this monotonous day-to-day life. And I think that's why when we get to our 20s, we really start to have these crises, is because before we were just genuinely just living life. I guess like if we were going to college, it's like, yeah, you were working towards something, but it didn't seem that serious. And now we're in our 20s and we're adults, and it's like we actually kind of have to like think about it and actually question what we're doing with our lives. Like, okay, now I'm in this career path. Am I going to be in this career path for the rest of my life? Like, did I choose the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Is this really my calling? Is this really what I want to be doing? Is this even my passion? Because what you chose to do at 18 years old, you might not really care about anymore. You might not care about down the line. It's so confusing. Honestly, this episode's just me rambling, if you couldn't already tell, because it's something that's on my mind all the time. And I want to talk about it because it's so prevalent in people in their 20s. And I feel like this is literally the most confusing time of our lives. And I just want to make it very clear that I am also just as confused as all of you. Even though it may seem like I have my shit together, I absolutely do not. Yes, there are goals and things that I'm working towards. I'm going to the gym. That's great. I know there's a lot of people that struggle to find like a good exercise routine, but let me just let you know that that's not the end goal in life. It definitely helps, and I do love it, and I look forward to it, and it's improved my well-being a lot. But just because I have my gym routine down doesn't mean I have my shit together. My life is very unorganized and very chaotic, and I struggle every day with questioning what I'm doing and being hard on myself about not being where I thought I would be at this age or this time in my life. There's just so many factors that go into play of our life's purpose and the meaning of life. Like, there's just so many different things and pressures. Like, there's finances. I thought I would have this amount of money at this point, or how am I gonna make money? Because you do need money to have a fun life. Honestly, I hate when people say money doesn't buy happiness, because let me tell you, when you're struggling financially, it is all you think about. It takes up every single one of your thoughts, and it's not fun. So there's the money aspect, which you have to think about. You can't ignore. It's important. There's also like relationships and friendships. I struggle a lot with my friendships in terms of always wishing that I had more of them, or like closer ones. I talked about this in my Making Friends episode. So there's that aspect. It's like I have all of these different aspects that I feel like I need to perfect, which is obviously dumb, because you're never gonna have a perfect life, and you're not supposed to, and a perfect life doesn't even exist. Like, I literally wrote down the other day, like, what would my ideal morning look like? And it's like, dude, you need to like live your life. Like, you need to let there be flexibility. Yes, it's good to have a routine, but if I'm gonna write out this ideal morning routine and then for some reason something happens, I sleep in a little bit later and I don't get to wake up the time I want to, am I gonna let that ruin my day? Is that going to be the catalyst for me not having a good day, or me not achieving my goals, it's like you can't be so rigid with yourself with all of these things. You have to allow room for life to happen. And a lot of the time I forget to do that. But anyways, as I was saying, because again, I'm rambling, there's money, there's friendships, there's travel, there's health and well-being. All of these things I'm trying to juggle, and I feel like I need to perfect. Like, okay, I've been going to the gym, but I need to get like the world's most solid workout routine because I want to get my ideal physique, right? So there's that aspect. And then it's like, I really want like a really close group of friends that you actually have to work towards having. I want my relationship to still be healthy and thrive, and you have to work towards that. It's not like these things are just going to happen for you. You have to actually put in time and energy for them to happen. I want to feel my best, so I have to eat well, but I also want to go out and socialize because I'm young and life is fleeting, and I want to enjoy myself and my time and have fun with other people and make memories. And at the same time, all of these things, it's like, what am I doing with my life? Like in terms of like my career and my hobbies, there's so many things that I want to learn, and there's so many things that I want to do. And you only get one life, and I don't understand like, I wish I could live so many different lives because there's so many things I want to do. And sometimes I think like, oh my God, I'm 25. I've let all this time go by and I haven't started to pursue these things, because a lot of these things take time to build up. Like if I wanted to learn a new language, I should have started years ago, because think about how much I would have progressed now if I'd started years ago. Whereas if I start now, it's going to take forever to get there. Same with surfing. I'm starting to surf more frequently, but even back in the day, it's like I could have started back then. Same with the gym. I should have gone way long ago. And then I beat myself up about it because I'm like, well, now I'm starting so late. There's like 21-year-olds that are better at this than me, better at that than me, and it's like, why does it even matter? Why does any of it matter? It's just my life, it's my journey, and it's so confusing. Can you guys tell that I'm having an existential crisis? And then how do you know that you're on the right path? And I know in my head that there is no right path, but it's like, how do you even know that what you're working towards is what you're supposed to be working towards? And I know that there's nothing you're supposed to be working towards because there is no purpose in life, but like, I know that there are certain things I could be working towards that would be successful, and then there's other things that would probably be a flop. But you're never going to know what those things are until you actually try them. And that's the really difficult part for me to understand, is like, how do you choose? How do you make a decision? It's so hard for me to decide things because you need to be confident in your decision, and I'm always second guessing myself. Like literally every single day I'm like, should I go traveling again? Like I was just in Mexico, but like should James quit his job, and should James and I just like go live in Southeast Asia and travel around, or should we buy a van and live in the van and do van life around the United States or like in some other country? Or should I pick up backpacking and do like the PCT trail? Because that would be really fun. I've always wanted to do something like super adventurous like that. Or should I buckle down and start my business and just stay settled here, but then I feel like my life is passing away because I want to travel, and I feel like the older I get, the less easy and accessible it'll be to travel? Or should I save to buy a house, because you gotta have a house because it's an asset and prices are only going up, so you may as well own property, and I've always wanted to own property. Or should I start an animal rescue because I love animals? Should I study conservation? Should I study conservation because I've always loved animals and I feel like it is my life's calling, because it's something that I've always been passionate about, and I feel like a loser because I'm not pursuing that, and I'm literally just sitting around making TikTok videos all day that don't really mean anything because I'm just trying to grow on social media so that I can make more money on it, so that I can have more freedom and I can start my business, so then I'll have more funding. Like, what am I doing? And then I'm also like, okay, I gotta get my CPT, I gotta become a certified personal trainer, because I've been making fitness videos, but my fitness videos aren't as good as other people's fitness videos because I don't have as high quality of a camera as they do, and I'm not as confident in the gym, and I don't have a banger body. Well, I do, but it could be better, and I feel like that's why more people get views, is because they already have that body, but I'm trying to film my progress in the gym of what I'm doing and how I'm getting there, and then I feel like I'm not qualified enough because I don't look a certain way, and so people don't care about my videos because they only follow people's videos who have their ideal physique, even though a lot of it has to do with genetics, and not everyone has those genetics. And why am I even posting fitness content? Is that actually what I want to do? I've always tried to pick a niche, and it never works because I can't just pick one niche and stick to it, because I'm a multifaceted human being, and it always makes me feel stuck in a box, and I hate putting a label on myself. And it's like, yes, I do love fitness, and I know it's an industry that'll never die, and I love it, but there's so many other people doing it, and it doesn't really seem like people like that content that I make anyways, even though I personally really like creating it, and I have fun doing it, and I love going to the gym. But do I really want to be a fitness influencer? I don't know, because I feel like the only way you could be a fitness influencer is if that's literally the only content you put out, and I like to put out content of everything. Or should I get really into fashion even though I am really into fashion, but I feel like I haven't really figured out my style yet. And I really want to go thrifting, but right now I don't really have money to do that. And I don't really have space because I don't really have a house and all my stuff's in a storage unit. Half of my stuff's in Colorado and half of my stuff's in a storage unit, and I'm kind of living out of a suitcase, but not really because I'm in a house right now, but I'm only in a house for 2 months. And then I have to move, except me and James don't really know where we're going. And we don't have a car, and on Sunday we have to give our Turo back. And so then we don't have a car to drive because my car's in Colorado and James and I are looking at cars to buy right now. But after that we won't have a vehicle, and then we're probably gonna have to get another Turo because we don't have a car, and then we're gonna have to spend more money on that, and it's not our car and we can't sell it. And then in October we don't really know where we're going. We might go to North Carolina, but we don't really know. And I don't know where we're gonna go for the holidays, and I don't know if we're gonna travel again in the near future, or if we're gonna buy a house, or what we're gonna do, or where we're gonna be living. And then if we move somewhere else, I won't have friends in that area, and it kind of sucks because I've been working on my friendships, and I feel like if I move away, all the friendships that I have are gonna dissolve and not exist anymore. I think there's an ant on me. So anyways, that's what's been on my mind lately. What about you? But for real, I feel like oh my god, I thought this wasn't recording for a second. Anyways, I feel like I'm kind of losing my mind, and that I needed to let that all out. So that's where I'm at in my life right now, and those are the questions that are constantly going through my head. Every single day I wake up and I'm just bombarded by all of these questions in my head and all of these thoughts. And it's so scary and confusing because I feel like you feel like when you're in your 20s you should have your shit figured out, but nobody does. And some people seem like they have it more together than others, but everyone's on a different path. And so it's easy to look at somebody who, I don't know, has like a 6-figure career at the ripe age of like 23, and it's like you don't, and you feel like you're kind of a failure, and it's like, why am I not doing that? But again, everyone's journeys are different. Everyone's paths look different. Also, just because they're making 6 figures in their job doesn't mean that they like their job. And even if they do, they're still trying to figure it out just as much as you are. Maybe they wish they were traveling instead. Having money is great, but it's also, you know, it comes with a price. Earning money and having to work a 9-to-5, you might not enjoy it very much, whereas people who are traveling and living a broke backpacker lifestyle, sure, they'd probably like to have more money, but they're probably making more memories and meeting new people and trying new food and having new experiences. So it's like everything has a pro and con, and there is no right answer. Like, I wish that I could come on here and tell you what your life's purpose is, but there isn't one. and I don't know the answer because I don't even know what I'm doing with my life. And I think that the purpose of this episode is, first of all, I just need to vent really quick, but also I just want to remind you that this is so normal. You are not the only one thinking this way or feeling this way. We are literally all in the same boat, I promise you. Even the people that you think have it together, even the people with lots of money and in a really good relationship or married with kids, like all of these people, doesn't matter who you are, what path you're on, or where you are in this stage of life, everyone's still trying to figure it out, and nobody has the answer, and nobody really knows. And you never really know, but I do think that it gets easier as time goes on because you do start to create yourself and figure yourself out more and figure out what you like and what you don't like. And I'm gonna say right now, while I can't tell you what your life's purpose is or what you should be doing with your life, and I still don't know what I should be doing with my life, the one thing that does help me is knowing wholeheartedly what I don't want to be doing with my life. That is very good because it's kind of the process of elimination. I like to go through the things that I know for certain I absolutely don't want to do. So, for example, I know that right now I don't want children, I don't want a family, I don't want to be settled down permanently because I don't really know where I want to live for the rest of my life, and I like the idea of bouncing around and moving from place to place. I don't really like the idea of just picking a place and living in it forever. So I know that. I don't want to be stagnant. I don't want children right now or maybe ever. I don't want to be doing like the family life living in one place. And a lot of people, that's what they want. And maybe that's where you're struggling, is because you want to find a really solid partner that you want to have children with, and you know where you want to live, but you want to save to buy a house. So that's kind of the process of elimination for me. I also know that I don't want to be working a traditional job, which I don't right now, so I am achieving that. But I also know that I don't want to be struggling financially, and that is one thing that I struggle with, is because the career that I've chosen and that I do, aka social media, like content creation, it's very inconsistent in terms of payment. And so I'm trying to figure out a way to increase my revenue streams and have a more consistent income and just be better in terms of like saving money, because I do have goals that require money. Like I want to buy a new camera and I would like to buy a house eventually. So, you know,
process of elimination. I know that I don't want a 9 to 5, which I don't have, but that isn't an option for me, right? Like I've canceled that out. I don't want that to ever be an option for me because I know that that's not what I want to do. I also know that I don't want an average life. An average can be defined by many things, and I'm not trying to like shit on that. Basically, if you like, there's nothing wrong with just, you know, going to college, getting married, having kids, buying a house, living in it, raising them, whatever, like, and that doesn't have to be average. That can still be a very fun, amazing life. But I know for me, it's like I want to do something extraordinary and adventurous, and I want to do something cool. Like I want to start a successful business and still travel the world and be able to travel the world. And I want to do something interesting, like I said, like backpacking across a country, or I don't know, like something like that, like cycling around Europe, or living in a different country, which I have done before, but I want to still do it. Or like living in a van in Australia. I've always wanted to do that, like travel all around Australia. That's a goal. So I know that I don't want to live a boring life. And I feel like that kind of helps to narrow it down, because it's like, okay, I don't want to do these things. So that leaves me with more options. So even though I don't have the answer for you, and nobody does, and you probably never will, I think that you should probably just start, and this is what I always do. I just love writing things out because I need to visualize it. Just write lists. I love a good list. I've said this before. Write down the things that you know for certain you don't want to do in your life. And then write down some of your goals. And I think that it will kind of help you narrow it down, because for me, even though I say I don't know what I want to do with my life, I at least have somewhat of an idea, right? Like I know that I want to start a business. Do I know what kind of business yet? No, not really, but we'll get there one day. I know that I want to own land one day that's near the ocean. Do I know where, what country, what part of the world? Nope, but again, we'll figure that out one day. I know that I want to make more money and earn more money in order to have the freedom to be able to travel and to buy the things that I want and to treat people in my life with gifts and things. I think my love language is gift giving, so that is important to me. And so I know that one of my goals is to earn more money, and figuring out ways to do that is important. So we can kind of narrow it down in those ways. Is that going to give you the key and the answer to life? No, because nobody can really give you that. But I do think it'll help you. I think that it can be really easy to get so overwhelmed when you don't have any clear ideas on anything. So I would recommend just writing down your goals and the things that you know absolutely for sure you don't want to do in your life. I always like to do, like, I think the process of elimination is great when you can get clear on the things that you don't want. And I think that this has always helped me, because for as long as I've known myself and thought about my future, I've always known these things that I don't want to do in my life. I've always known that I don't want to work a 9 to 5 or like a office job or like a corporate job. I've always known this. I've always felt this in my heart. I knew that I didn't want to go to college. Did I know what I wanted to do? Well, I knew I wanted to travel, but I didn't really have I wasn't really sure what that looked like, and I just kind of winged it, and it worked out, kind of. So that's my advice to you if you're also struggling. And that's pretty much all I can give you. Honestly, just write out your thoughts, because rambling about this and venting about this I honestly feel better just talking about it. But I just want to remind you once again that you're not alone in feeling really confused about what you're doing with your life, and do not feel so pressured to figure out your life's purpose, because I promise you there isn't one true answer for you. And if that fills you with an overwhelming amount of dread, I'm sorry, but it's not supposed to. It's supposed to make you feel free. There isn't one thing that you're meant to be doing with your life that you have to use your entire life to seek out. Don't do that. Don't put pressure on yourself of like, I need to figure out why I'm here on this earth. That's just overwhelming. That's not fair to anybody. There isn't a reason. You're just supposed to live your life and enjoy it as much as you can. It's good to have goals and things you're working towards, but don't beat yourself up too much. Just accept where you are right now, because where you are is where you're supposed to be. And we're all on different journeys, and we're all on different paths. Okay, that was enough rambling. I'm sorry that this was like literally so all over the place. I didn't write down a single thought that I had, which normally I do. Like, I like to plan out my episodes, but I just knew that this episode was, there's just too much I wanted to say for me to figure out. I knew it was just gonna flow through me. So hopefully this made you feel better. If you're confused and struggling, just remember I'm also struggling and also confused. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll be here next Monday.